There's a silence that follows when the beat stops, an emptiness that echoes long after the last drumstick falls. That silence is what millions of fans around the world felt on August 17, 2026, when Frank Beard, the legendary drummer of ZZ Top, quietly took his final breath. A man whose very name seemed to tease fate, carrying the surname Beard while famously clean-shaven for most of his life, Frank's death marked the end of an era that stretched over 5 decades. But it's not just the loss of a drummer, it's the loss of a heartbeat that kept a band, a genre, and a generation alive. Behind the dazzling lights of sold-out stadiums and the fame that turned ZZ Top's Beards and Blues into cultural icons, there was a story few knew. Frank Beard's journey was not just a tale of hits and tours, it was a story of resilience, struggle, and a quiet, unyielding dedication to his craft. His final words, whispered in the shadows of his Texas ranch, reveal a truth that shattered hearts, truths about pain, perseverance, and the human spirit behind the music that defined an era. For more than 50 years, Frank was the pulse of ZZ Top's unapologetic blues rock sound. He wasn't just keeping time, he was building the foundation on which legendary riffs and unforgettable solos were built. Albums like Eliminator and Afterburner wouldn't have soared to their multi-million sales without his steady backbeat. His hands, worn by years of pounding the drums, carried the weight of the band's identity. Yet, fame was a double-edged sword. The relentless touring schedule, the physical demands of stage performance, and the emotional toll of the music industry slowly chipped away at Frank's health and spirit. The man who once kept the band together through all storms faced his own battles that remained hidden behind the sunglasses and the swagger. When ZZ Top's management announced his withdrawal from their 2025 tour, fans feared the worst. The reason was more than just age or exhaustion, it was the culmination of years of physical strain, injuries, and the silent toll of chronic pain. The cancellation of shows and the official statements only hinted at the depth of his struggle. Yet, through it all, Frank's final words spoke not of defeat, but of gratitude, love, and a quiet acceptance of his journey. In those last moments, surrounded by family and the familiar Texas landscape he cherished, Frank Beard's voice was calm, humble, and filled with the same steady rhythm that defined his life. His story is not just a chapter in rock history, it's a testament to the human spirit's endurance and the legacy one man can leave behind. Frank Beard's life was a masterclass in contrasts. Known to millions as the man without the famous ZZ Top beard, he was the silent force behind the band's thunderous sound. While his bandmates, Billy Gibbons and Dusty Hill, grew their iconic long beards, Frank's clean-shaven face became a symbol of quiet strength and discipline. This contrast wasn't just skin-deep, it reflected the deeper layers of his personality and his approach to music. Where the beard shouted, Frank's drumming whispered with precision, holding the band's sound together with unshakable steadiness. Born in Houston, Texas, Frank's journey to rock royalty was anything but smooth. Before ZZ Top's rise, he played in lesser-known bands and even found himself in bizarre situations like touring under the name of a British band that no longer existed. These early struggles shaped his gritty work ethic and unpretentious attitude towards fame. When the classic ZZ Top lineup finally formed in 1969, Frank's role was clear: he was the anchor, the steady hand amidst the storm of rock and roll chaos. But the road wasn't always smooth. The late 1970s tested Frank in ways few could imagine. Endless tours, the grind of the music industry, and the pressure to perform led him down a dark path of addiction. His heroin dependency threatened not only his life but also the very survival of ZZ Top. The band's near collapse during this period was a stark reminder of how fame and pressure often come at a steep price. Yet, what sets Frank apart is not the fall, but the rise. His battle with addiction was fought behind closed doors, away from the spotlight, and with a determination that allowed him to reclaim his life and his place behind the drum kit. This resilience led to one of the most remarkable comebacks in rock history. The 1983 album Eliminator was not just a commercial success, it was a cultural phenomenon that redefined blues rock for a new generation. Frank's drumming adapted too, blending classic rhythms with the new electronic sounds of the era without losing authenticity. The hit Sharp-Dressed Man and Legs owe much of their groove to his impeccable timing and feel, proving that Frank was not just keeping up with trends but setting the pace. As the decades passed, Frank's commitment never wavered. He played every one of ZZ Top's 15 studio albums and thousands of live shows, a testament to his endurance and passion. His style was simple but powerful, focused on serving the song rather than showcasing flashy solos. This humility endeared him to fellow musicians and fans alike, cementing his legacy as a drummer's drummer. But beyond the music, Frank was a family man, devoted to his wife Debbie and their life in Texas. His final days were spent surrounded by love, a quiet contrast to the roaring crowds he once commanded. In his last moments, his words reflected the same calm and grounded nature that guided his life and career, an acceptance of the inevitable and a deep gratitude for the journey. Frank Beard's final days were a quiet retreat from the spotlight, a stark contrast to the roaring stages and blinding lights that defined his career. In March 2025, when ZZ Top's management announced his temporary withdrawal from the band's tour, fans worldwide held their breath. The news was met with concern but little detail, leaving many to wonder about the drummer's health. What unfolded behind the scenes was a painful revelation of how relentless dedication to music had taken a toll on his body. Decades of pounding the drums had left their mark. Serious issues in Frank's leg and ankle forced him to step back from the intense physical demands of touring. The constant travel, the relentless energy required to perform night after night, and the wear and tear on his body accumulated to the point where continuing was no longer feasible. Medical bulletins revealed that he needed strict rehabilitation and was advised against long-distance travel. The band, understanding the gravity of the situation, brought in substitute drummers to keep the tour alive, but the absence of Frank's signature rhythm was deeply felt. As the months passed, Frank's condition worsened. By mid-2025, age-related complications compounded the damage from years of drumming, limiting his mobility and stamina. This decline forced the cancellation of several high-profile concerts, including a much-anticipated performance at the Hollywood Bowl, a venue synonymous with rock legends. Official statements cited his acute health issues as the cause, emphasizing that he was unable to participate in rehearsals or travel by air. The cancellations continued in Salt Lake City and Colorado Springs, marking the painful reality that the band was facing the end of an era. Despite the physical challenges, Frank's spirit remained unbroken. His family, especially his wife Debbie Meredith, stood steadfast by his side, ensuring he received the best medical care possible. The transition to end-of-life palliative care at his Texas ranch was done with dignity and surrounded by love. Friends, bandmates, and fans could only imagine the quiet strength it took for a man who had spent a lifetime commanding stages to face such a vulnerable chapter. Before stepping away from the stage, Frank often reflected on his journey with a calm humility that was both inspiring and poignant. At the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction in 2004, when ZZ Top was honored, he remarked that his life had been a pleasant surprise, a statement that belied the struggles he had endured. That practical outlook, that silent devotion to his craft and family, defined Frank's legacy just as much as his drumming did. His final words, shared with close family and friends, spoke of acceptance, gratitude, and peace. They echoed the rhythm of a life well lived, a life where every beat mattered, every note was deliberate, and every silence told a story. Frank Beard's passing was not just the end of a musician's chapter, it was the closing of a golden era in rock history. The story of Frank Beard is incomplete without revisiting the early days when the seeds of a musical revolution were planted. Before ZZ Top became a household name, Frank's path was marked by uncertainty and experimentation. In 1969, he found himself part of a peculiar touring project under the guise of a British band, the Zombies, a group that had already disbanded. This odd chapter reflects the harsh realities many musicians faced, caught in the crossfire of commercial gimmicks and the struggle to find their true voice. But it was in Houston, Texas, that destiny took a definitive turn. Billy Gibbons, fresh from his previous band, was crafting a new sound and searching for the perfect partners. Frank Beard wasn't merely invited, he was a proactive force, bringing Dusty Hill into the fold and completing the trio that would become ZZ Top. This formation was remarkable not just for its chemistry but for its longevity, a classic lineup that remained unchanged for over 50 years, a rarity in the music world. The name ZZ Top itself was born from a blend of respect and ambition. Inspired by blues legends like B.B. King and ZZ Hill, Billy Gibbons initially wanted to name the band ZZ King but wisely chose ZZ Top to avoid legal issues. This choice was more than a name, it was a declaration of intent to be the pinnacle of blues rock. From their first recordings in 1970, the band set out to fuse electrified Southern blues with hard rock, a sound that would come to define them and influence generations. Frank's role was pivotal. His drumming wasn't flashy or showy, it was the bedrock that allowed Billy's guitar to soar and Dusty's bass to groove. His minimalist yet powerful style helped the band forge their unique identity. Early tours in small Texas venues were grueling but essential, building the band's reputation and fanbase. These formative years taught Frank the endurance and discipline that would sustain him through decades of success and hardship. Yet, the relentless pace took its toll. The late 1970s brought intense pressure, leading Frank to a near breaking point. His battle with heroin addiction was a dark, hidden chapter that threatened to end the band's journey prematurely. The forced hiatus and the uncertainty that followed were painful but necessary. Frank's eventual rehabilitation was a testament to his strength and the support of those around him. This victory over addiction fueled the band's comeback and set the stage for their greatest achievements. The release of Eliminator in 1983 marked a new era. Frank adapted his drumming to blend traditional rock with emerging electronic sounds without losing the band's core energy. The album's success was a cultural milestone, propelling ZZ Top into international stardom. Frank's steady rhythms were the glue that held it all together, proving that adaptability and dedication could conquer even the toughest challenges. Frank Beard's legacy is not just measured in albums sold or concerts played but in the profound influence he left on the world of music and the hearts of those who followed him. His drumming style became a blueprint for countless musicians, a masterclass in how to serve the song with precision and soul. While many drummers seek the spotlight, Frank found his power and restraint, each beat calculated, every pause meaningful. This approach created a rhythmic backbone that was as essential to ZZ Top's sound as the legendary guitar riffs or Dusty Hill's driving bass. Throughout his career, Frank remained remarkably grounded. His commitment to family and simplicity stood in contrast to the wild lifestyles often associated with rock stars. Outside the stage lights, he was a husband, a friend, and a man who treasured his Texas roots. These personal values informed his music and fueled his resilience through decades of the unpredictable music industry. The band's induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2004 was a crowning achievement, a formal recognition of their impact on the blues rock genre. For Frank, this was not just a career milestone but a moment of quiet reflection on a journey that began with humble beginnings. His speech, modest and heartfelt, captured the essence of a man who never sought the limelight but always delivered when it mattered most. As the years progressed, Frank's influence extended beyond ZZ Top. Younger generations of musicians and fans discovered his work, inspired by the authenticity and grit he brought to every performance. His dedication to his craft and ability to evolve with changing musical landscapes ensured that his legacy would endure long after the final note was played. The final chapter of Frank Beard's life, though marked by physical decline, was filled with dignity and love. His transition from the stage to his Texas ranch was a return to the roots that had always grounded him. Surrounded by family, he faced the end with the same calm grace that had defined his career. His last words, shared with those closest to him, were a testament to a life well lived, a message of peace, acceptance, and gratitude. Frank's passing on August 17, 2026, left a void in the music world that can never be filled. The rhythm section of ZZ Top was no longer whole, and the band's sound forever changed. Yet, in every drumbeat that echoes through time, in every blues riff played by aspiring musicians, Frank Beard's spirit lives on. His story is more than that of a drummer, it is the story of perseverance, redemption, and the quiet strength that underpins greatness. In remembering Frank Beard, we celebrate not just the music but the man who made it possible, steady, resilient, and deeply human.